The sum of the roots r1 plus r2 equals negative b over a. And the product of the roots r1 times r2 equals c over a. In the previous lesson, you were given the quadratic equation in order to find the sum and the product of the roots by using the formulas. Now you are given the sum and the product of the roots, and you must find the quadratic equation. So basically you're going backwards from the previous lesson to come up with your own quadratic equation. Which equation has roots whose sum is 3 and whose product is negative 4? Well, we know that the sum formula is negative b over a, so we want to set 3 equal to this. And since the formula is a fraction, we want 3 to be a fraction. So we're going to use 3 over 1. And the product formula is c over a, also a fraction. We're going to set that equal to negative 4 over 1 because we need negative 4 to be in fraction form. We see that the a's both agree. They're both equal to 1. So we can proceed and say, okay, a is 1. B is negative 3 because it's negative b equal to 3. So to negate both sides, you end up with b equals negative 3 and c equals negative 4. So now we have all of our coefficients. We can build our quadratic equation. It's x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. Juan has been told to write a quadratic equation where the sum of the roots is equal to negative 3 and the product of the roots is equal to negative 9. Which equation meets these requirements? Well, we'll do it just like the last one. We'll set negative b over a equal to negative 3 over 1. And the product c over a will be set equal to negative 9 over 1. And since the a's both agree, they're both equal to 1, we can say a equals 1. B equals positive 3 because we have negative negative on both sides, which just go away. And c equals negative 9. So the quadratic equation is x squared plus 3x minus 9 equals 0. Okay, this one's a little trickier. Sometimes the denominators don't always agree. For example, the sum of the roots equal 3, and the product of the roots equals 4.5. Now, how do we write 4.5 as a fraction? Well, you could say 4.5, and you could say 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9 to give us 9 halves. Right? 9 divided by 2 is 4 and a half, 4.5. The problem is a equals 1, a equals 2. Which one is it? Well, to remedy this, we're going to basically find a common denominator. We're going to multiply 3 over 1 by 2 over 2, giving us 6 over 2. And now we have an agreement that a equals 2. B equals negative 3. I'm sorry, b equals negative 6 because we doubled it. And c equals 9. Final equation, 2x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 0. Here the sum is equal to 3/4, and the product is equal to negative 2 over 1. So the denominators must agree, right? A equals 4, a equals 1, so we'll need to multiply this one by 4 in the numerator and denominator to get negative 8 over 4. And now the a's agree. So a equals 4, b equals negative 3, and c equals negative 8, giving us this as our final quadratic equation. Okay, last example of this lesson. Here we have the equation x squared minus kx minus 36 equals 0. Has x equals 12 as one root. What is the value of k? Okay, so all along we've been writing the sum of the roots as r1 plus r2, and the product of the roots as r1 times r2. Well, now we're actually going to use the r1 and r2 because they gave us one of the r's. It's 12. So if we know that the product of the roots is negative 36, we're going to use that to our advantage and say, okay, R1 times R2, which we know is C over A, is negative 36. And we know that since one of the roots is 12, we're going to substitute that in, and 12 times the other root is going to give us negative 36. So R2 is negative 3. All we have to do is divide both sides by 12. So now that we know this much, we know both of our roots, R1 is 12 and R2 is negative 3. We can sum them together to find out what K is, because K represents the sum of the roots, right? So now we have R1 plus R2 equals negative B over A, right? That's the sum of the roots formula. And we'll just substitute negative K goes in for B, so we have negative negative K. And the first root was 12, and the second root that we found out was negative 3. 12 plus negative 3 is positive 9, and 9 equals K. And we're good. Now, some people prefer to just take 12, which is X, and plug it in for X, just like this. And we square 12, we multiply, we basically solve for K. So we combine like terms. 144 minus 36 is 108, add 12 to both sides. 108 equals 12K, divide both sides by 12, and our final answer, K equals 9. And there you have it. Best of luck to you in this lesson.